So I am Christian Johnson, and I have the honor of leading IMGN Life Ministries. It's hard to believe this is my 7th year that I'm going into, and I'm glad to report that tonight we've got the most guests that we've ever had. We had 539. Somebody was telling me earlier that they remember one of the early galas when Dan Donahue was up flipping slides. I'm assuming that was back in the old school projectors. You remember that with the cellophane? I don't know, maybe not. He's not here to defend himself tonight, so I can pick on him. And just to, for those of you that aren't familiar, what the difference is between IMGN Life and Choices Women's Center. IMGN Life is the parent organization, or the umbrella organization, if you will, for the Choices Women's Center. Both are one and the same. We are incorporated under the Fredericksburg Pregnancy Center. The Choices Women's Center, that is the part of our ministry that is geared towards the abortion vulnerable in our community that are needing our medical services and other support services. IMGN Life, that is for you, for our donors, our partners. So if you wanted to find out more about our ministry and upcoming events and how you can be praying for us and volunteer opportunities, IMGN Life is the place to go. If you know of somebody who is needing pregnancy decision help, if they're needing parenting classes, or perhaps they've had an abortion experience in their past that they're needing help navigating through, that is the Choices Women's Center side of our ministry. So there's a little exercise I like to do every year, just to kind of get a better feel for who's here. If you have attended 4 or more of our galas in the past, if you could stand. 4 or more galas in the past. All right, and you can be seated. If this is your 2nd or 3rd gala, could you please stand? All right. And my favorite, if this is your 1st gala, could you please stand? Fantastic. Thank you. Well, welcome to the IMGN Life family. It's the biggest family reunion in town, I think. A couple of other folks that I would like to recognize. If you are currently on staff or even formerly on staff, could you please stand? And if you could stay standing for a second. So you see there's a few. If you are a current or former volunteer with us, if you could please stand. And that's a volunteer in any capacity. And so just to give you an idea, our board are volunteers. We've got volunteer receptionists, patient advocates, folks that come in to clean our center. We've even got landscapers, gardeners that help beautify the area right in front of the center. There's a whole pile of ways that you can get involved and volunteer with us, and I'll get back to that a little bit. Last year, and you can be seated, thank you. So last year we had 3,280 hours put in by volunteers. That's a pretty big number. This year, our goal is 4,000 hours. And stay tuned because we're going to put together a little 4,000 club. So if you want to be part of that 4,000 club, we'll have a nice shirt for you and everything. And we've got a lot of work to do. And we're a small staff of 11, mostly part-time. And we could not do what we do without the help of our many, many volunteers. So for those of you that aren't all that familiar with us and exactly what we do and why we do it, just wanted to spend a couple minutes unpacking that a little bit. And there's more information about us in our bulletin. So our vision is we want to live in a community that values life. And how we go about doing that is coming alongside those that are facing an unplanned pregnancy, empowering them with hope. And we know where that hope comes from, right? And in the hopes also that they will make life-affirming choices. So what's the big deal? Roe versus Wade's been overturned. So this problem must be over. Well, it's not. We've still got a lot of work to do, especially here in Virginia. Virginia is one of the few states in our region, especially the Southeast, that still allows late-term abortions. And we've still got a lot of work to do. And just to put this in a little more perspective, Fredericksburg, according to the Virginia Department of Health, ranks number 2 in the entire state of Virginia with the highest rate of abortion. Let that sink in for a minute. And mind you, we don't have an abortion clinic here. So women from our community are going down to Richmond or up to Northern Virginia to get their abortions. Another way of thinking about it is 1 out of every 37 pregnancies from our community here are terminated by abortion. And if you contrast that with the state average of 1 out of every 111, we got triple the problem here. The most recent Virginia Department of Health statistics reported that 557 babies were killed and women wounded by the violence of abortion from our community. The number used to be well over 800, so we are making a difference in our community. It's about a 37% decrease. But when you think about that number that's over 500, that's about 10. Every single week, 10 women that will have to live with the regret of an abortion. 10 babies that'll never get a chance to take their first breath. So what are we doing about it? So we have a variety of programs and services, all of which are 100% free, and that's only because of your support. We are primarily a pregnancy medical center. We have a licensed retired OB doctor who serves as a volunteer medical director for us, along with a variety of nurses. We've got 3 that are on paid staff, all of which are part-time, and then we have a couple of more that are volunteers. The medical services that we provide include pregnancy testing, ultrasound confirmation, sexually transmitted infection testing and treatment. In addition to those medical services, we also offer parenting classes, fatherhood program, mentoring these young dads, material resources, and an abortion recovery support ministry, serving women, men, and families with a pro-abundant life philosophy. That is what we are all about. So let me share a few of our successes, our wins from this past year. We saw 639 patients last year, which is the second most ever. We performed 424 ultrasounds. Of those 639, 235 were abortion vulnerable, and 77 were abortion determined, meaning before they had even come to us, they had already made up their mind what they were going to do. And that 77 is a big deal for us because that's a 97% increase from where we were at 5 years ago. So that number has almost doubled, and that's who we're trying to reach the most. It says that our marketing is working. They're finding us, and that's what we're trying to do. We got to see over 100 men last year. That was a new milestone for us, and we still got a lot more. If you remember last year's Gala, I announced that we had 171 changed minds, which was the most that we'd ever had. Well, I'm pleased to report that in 2023, we had 184 changed minds. But when you think about it, it's not just 184 lives that were spared. It was 368. 184 moms and 184 babies. We also had, equally important besides the changed minds for life, we had 270 spiritual engagements last year, and we had 11 that came to Jesus. Another milestone or success for us last year was the implementation of our STI program. The reason this is particularly important is because this is another of our tools, if you will, that enables us to reach that high-risk demographic that's very likely to end up with that unplanned pregnancy, and establishes credibility with that abortion-vulnerable woman, because if she finds herself with an unplanned pregnancy, she knows where to come back because she's had a positive experience with us, and we're trusted. And I'm pleased to report that this past year, we completed the renovations at the center to accommodate that lab room. It is almost fully equipped now. We have implemented it, and we're starting to pilot it. We started piloting it back in January. We're also offering this for our pregnancy decision, especially the abortion-determined women in particular. From a medical perspective, if there's a woman that goes through with an abortion and has an untreated STI, there can be some really serious health implications to that. So what that enables us to do is help her slow down a little bit. She's making this decision in a moment of crisis. And we get to support her in this way and help her make a fully informed decision and make a healthy decision. Just about every single year since I've been here, we go into the fourth quarter of the year facing a $30,000 budget deficit. And every year, without fail, the Lord has come through and covered that deficit, in many cases, even with a small surplus. 2023 was a little bit different. A lot of nonprofits and churches saw a decrease and a decline in giving. And we were the same. What used to be a $30,000 projected deficit was well over $100,000. Down to the very last day of the year, we only missed our fundraising goal by $100. And I got to tell you, it's humbling. And I had a little bit of doubt. Not that God couldn't do it, but that he would. I'd seen him do 30,000 before easily. And I thought, well, maybe this is just a new time that we need to tighten our belt financially a little bit and maybe get ready for some rough times. And then he did what he always does, and but God. And he showed up. And so we're super thankful for you that we didn't have to start out this year in a hole, financially speaking. But it was a good thing for us to go through an experience, because we are tightening our financial belt this year. We want to be good stewards of the resources that you have entrusted in us. Let me share just a couple of our goals or our challenges for this year. You know, part of that tightening our financial belt, we went through a considerable reorganization, realigning some positions, finding places where we could realize some cost savings and efficiencies, and that's mostly on the admin side. We've had some people that come and go. We've got some new people coming in soon, but all that to say that part of this reorg, we're going to realize a cost savings about $12,000 in payroll. So we're trying to do things smarter and more efficiently. Another, not so much of a challenge, but a transition that's happening this year is we're not doing a life walk this year. The last two that we have done significantly underperformed, and we just think that this model has probably outlived its time, if you will. So we're looking at some other ways that we can kind of make up for that, as increasing awareness as well as fundraising. We're trying to see if we can, similar to what Zoe Freedom Center does here in town, work concessions at the Fred Nats, ballpark. That's an easy way to fundraise. We get a portion of the sales, from a game. But this is kind of where that 4,000 club comes in. We could use some volunteers. So if that's something that you think you might be interested in, stay tuned. You'll see more about that in our upcoming newsletter. We are also looking to do a benefit concert. I don't know that we're going to be able to pull it off this year, but that's also going to be at the Fred Nats ballpark, and we're super thankful for Simventions, who has made it possible for us to use the ballpark through their corporate partnership with the team. And so we're grateful to be able to do that because we couldn't afford to rent out the ballpark. So stay tuned. It'll probably be 2025 before we do a benefit concert, and I won't tell you yet who we're trying to bring in, but I'm going to keep that under my hat a little bit, but it'll be good. Marketing, that is always a challenge, always has been, always will be. You'd be shocked how expensive it is to increase awareness about who we are and what we do. And our challenge, too, is that we've got two different audiences that we're trying to reach. The abortion vulnerable in our community that need our services, and then ministry partners like you. This past year, we took a pretty significant stride in improving our online presence, particularly on social media. Since I brought up social media, please get out your phones. Open up your favorite social media platform. Well, we only have two, Facebook and Instagram. And if you're not already following us, click like for us. That helps us out significantly. I can spell algorithm, but that's about it. But the more you do that, it helps increase awareness about us out in the community. So Imagine Life, look up Imagine Life, IMGN Life, and hit like and follow. Volunteers, that's always a need. I just mentioned it a little bit ago. We need patient advocates. We need men that can come and join what we call our Legacy League. That's our fatherhood program to help come along some of these young men that don't know what right looks like. A lot of them didn't even have a father in the picture. And those that did, it doesn't necessarily mean they had a good one. So if you've got a little bit of time that you can lend to us, once or twice a month, we could really, really use your help. Spanish speakers, nurses, counselors, social workers. If you or somebody you know might have a heart and a passion for this ministry, please send them our way. Another goal that we have for this year is we'd like to expand hours. We'd like to offer our services to folks either one evening a week and or one Saturday a month. Saturday is Planned Parenthood's busiest day. We'd like to be able to counteract that, but we need the resources to be able to do it. We need the people to be able to do it. We need the volunteers to be able to do it. Our biggest effort and initiative for this year is what we call our Care Alliance. In addition to your much needed financial support, there's other ways that you can get involved by joining our Care Alliance. These are opportunities for you to volunteer your time, donate baby items, and other helpful ways to support our mission. Diaper Brigade, that's an easy one. That's where you, as an individual or a family, Sunday school, you sign up to support a mom for a whole year with diapers and wipes. You'd be surprised how those little, tangible, not so little, tangible ways really make an impact on her, because a lot of them are thinking, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And then they're blown away by these people that are volunteering to come alongside of them and support them in this way. Another one is our Hope Bags. LifePoint last year purchased a year's supply of diaper bags for us. And then other churches would ask for a couple dozen, put a little packing list in it, and they get to go shopping for it and fill it up. And this is yet another practical way that we can help empower and encourage these moms. You should see the look on their faces when they get handed something like that. It's like, wow. It's not just about changing their minds. Baby bottle. We've got 150 churches in the Fredericksburg area, and only 50 are partnered with us. If your church doesn't do a baby bottle and you think they might be interested in, please reach out to us and we can provide you information. This is our most efficient fundraiser. You fill up over the course of a month or two, you fill up these baby bottles with coins or bills or checks. Those are always nice too. But it's a fun way to get kids involved. And we raise about $80,000 a year from about 50 churches doing the baby bottle campaign. And our Adopt a Mom program, more to come on that. That's an initiative that we're working on, similar to Compassion International, where you as a group or a family could adopt a mom and try to come alongside of her in providing a practical gospel, if you will. So what does the future look like? Here's just a couple of the opportunities coming up. We're working on a school entry program for next year to where we can have one or more of our nurses that go into the public schools and get to talk to like health classes about sexual health the right way. This is a great tool for us to also be able to increase awareness amongst these young women in the community, that if they find themselves faced with an unplanned pregnancy, they're going to be like, yeah, I remember that Choices Women's Center. Another thing that we're hoping to be able to do next year is we'd like to have a licensed counselor on staff. Because here's the deal, when most abortion-minded women, when they're considering this, most of the time there's some kind of trauma in the past. And if we had a licensed counselor on staff to do that immediate initial stabilization, if you will, kind of talk her off a ledge a little bit until such time that we can connect her with more longer-term care in the community, we'd really like to have that. You know, there's a lot of great counseling ministries here in town, and we can refer them, but most of the time there's at least a 3-week wait. And she's making a decision today or tomorrow. We can't wait 3 or 4 weeks. Another goal of ours is to reopen our satellite office up in Stafford that we had to close down back when COVID hit. We're just a little bit reluctant right now, just given the economic uncertainty, to get into a commercial lease up there. But be in prayer with us about that if that's something that God wants us to do up there. And then the really big dream is we'd like to own our own building someday so that we're not having to pay a lease. I'd much rather put that monthly lease payment into programs and services for our clients. So again, be in prayer with us about that. So as I wrap up, I just wanted to share a little bit about our theme for this year, which is abundantly more. And it comes from John chapter 10, verse 10, and it reads, "The thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly more." So we understand from this passage that Jesus is pointing the finger squarely at the Pharisees. For these were among the voices of his time that were saying there's another way besides Jesus. Today, there's no shortage of these voices that would tell us that there's another way. Voices of those that would say there is thriving and freedom apart from Jesus. These are the same voices that tell a mother at the crossroads of an unplanned pregnancy that abortion is her best and only option, that the growing life inside her is insignificant, or that my body, my choice. That's the anthem, right, that our culture is feeding her? That somehow her freedom and that her thriving is contingent on this decision to stop a beating heart. That is the way of the thief in the first part of that verse. On the other hand, Jesus comes to give life, but what kind of life? There's a certain kind of life that he's coming to give, and that's a more abundant life. This is a life with a deep relationship with Jesus himself, one where he knows our name and we recognize his voice as the Good Shepherd. This is a life with rhythms of thriving under the leadership of Christ himself. This is a life of intimacy, protection, belonging, identity, purpose, presence. Think about the life that Mary Magdalene found. She overcame a past of demon possession to go on to be one of Jesus' closest followers. How about the life of Peter? How would you like to have that distinction as being the one who denied Jesus 3 times, only to go on and be sharing the gospel in front of thousands of people? Or how about Paul, the life that he found after having persecuted and murdered Christians? What about his life? He only went on to plant 14 churches and pen letters that constituted most of the New Testament. That's the kind of life, abundantly more, that Jesus is talking about. A life that's made new and made right and not condemned by our past mistakes or fearful of what the future may hold. We value life because Jesus valued life. He valued every life because each and every life is imprinted with the Imago Dei and has eternal worth. And as followers of Jesus, we understand that being pro-life starts in the womb, but that's not where it ends. That's where our job as the church actually begins. Being pro-life is about supporting the mother in practical ways that we've already talked a little bit about. It's about coming alongside that new dad who doesn't know if he's got what it takes to be a father. It's about loving and ministering to those who have not found forgiveness, healing, and freedom from a previous abortion experience. It requires us to roll up our sleeves and be willing to get messy and climb down in that hole and help them figure out how to get out. So Imagine Life exists to empower those facing an unplanned pregnancy with hope. Our hope is that they would choose life. But even more importantly, our hope is that they would find the life that Jesus spoke of in John chapter 10, and that they would know that they are here for abundantly more.